That is the most gutless Chelsea performance I think I've ever seen. And I've been thinking about it because I'm already home. It's 10:30. I'm already home. The game's barely finished. And it's not exactly round the corner for me to go to the Emirates. But I'm at home. That's the first Chelsea game I've ever left early because I was disgusted with what I saw. And I was thinking back. I'm thinking Sarri years. I'm thinking 6-0 to City, 4-0 to Bournemouth in a week. But do you know what we had there? We had hope because you knew that Roman Abramovich would correct that error. You knew that Roman Abramovich would see the mistake, arguably before fans, in most cases. Not in the Sarri case, but in general. He'd make that sacking before you'd even thought whether the player should be sacked or the manager should be sacked. In this case, you don't have that hope. You don't have that hope. And it's not just pinned on Pochettino, though a lot of it should. And he's been completely ignored by media in terms of what a shocking job he's doing at Chelsea. Because 5-0 to a rival is despicable. It should not be the case, regardless of whatever team you start, due to injuries, due to whatever. You don't lose 5-0 to your rivals. You set yourselves up to at least take a 1 or 2-0. And then maybe, fans walk away and they think, oh, if we'd had Cole Palmer, if he hadn't been ill, maybe we might have got something. At least that's somewhat acceptable. This was the counter to that. This was disgraceful. In terms of how lazy some of our attacking play was, in terms of Madueke and Mudryk offering no runs whatsoever. Enzo, Jackson, poor. Gilchrist on that goal, shocking. Petrovic on that goal, shocking. In terms of how we're set up, corners. Corners have been a constant problem for Chelsea Football Club throughout this season. Set pieces. Why is there no development there? Well, I'm glad you're getting a set piece coach in because Poch quite clearly has no Scooby when it comes to setting up. The first half, I watched firsthand in that corner, Arsenal continuously take short corners and no one closing them down. Mudryk just waiting for them to make that pass continuously. And in the second half, what happens? Arsenal capitalise. Why is the manager not seeing that? Why is there no solution to address that? Shouldn't that be what an elite manager does? Should they not be sniffing out those problems and putting out those fires? Instead, we get none of that. These are recurring issues that have happened continuously throughout the season, and it's sickening at this point. To lose 5-0 to them, they're not even in good form right now. If this had been a month or so ago, whatever, they're smacking everyone 5-0. They're on the back of failing to beat Bayern Munich in either game. A manager they sacked in Thomas Tuchel. They sacked Thomas Tuchel to bring in their Potter, to bring in their Pochettino, and look at where we are. 5-0 down to Arsenal. A mere 2 seasons ago, Chelsea were winning 2-0 at the Emirates with Romelu Lukaku, thinking, oh, we've just won the Champions League, let's go win that league now as well. And look at where we've fallen. It's grim and there's no hope in sight. And this is the distinction when I talk about this is probably the worst defeat I've seen Chelsea have. Because with Roman, I had that, well, it's Roman, we'll sort things out, he'll make it tick. With these lot, there's no hope with that. There's no hope with that. Okay, yeah, they've invested in a load of young kids and that's what they want to work. Okay, cool. Well, you haven't got the manager in place to do that anyway. And you haven't supplemented it with enough experience to help these players grow to the maximum of their ability anyway. So you're not going to see the fruits of your labour in that regard. They're driving our club into the ground and it's sad. It's sad at this point. Like I said, I would have been going to Chelsea for 20 plus years. I'm not the oldest person in the world, but I don't know how many games I would have seen at Chelsea over the years, and I've never had to leave a game early. But today was just it was a breaking point in terms of I went, fuck this. At 4-0, I just said, fuck this. Kai Havertz scoring 2 goals against us. Ben White scoring 2 goals against you. Chelsea used to rock up after a Champions League game, no less. We could rotate the entire team, and this is a specific example, when we had to go away to Liverpool to spoil their party, with Thomas Callas playing. A player who, let's be real, hasn't really done much in his career. He's gone on to play for Fulham and Schalke. And we win 2-0 because Mourinho had us set up perfectly. And there were better players in amongst that squad, but that's not my point. My point is there were more first-team players playing today than there were first-team players playing in that 13-14 game away at Anfield. But Mourinho had them set up right. He is not good enough at all. And he should not be in a job by the time I've even uploaded this. By the time I've uploaded this might be redundant. He might be gone already if they had any brains about them. And on top of that, they should be readdressing every bit of recruitment that they've done in terms of their strategy, in terms of their only wanting kids, in terms of their wanting resale value, because you're going to get fuck all resale value if you can't develop these players anyway. So you're going to tank your own idea of profits into the ground. They don't have a clue. Clear Lake clearly don't have a fucking clue. They don't have a clue. And it's actually quite impressive at this point when I think about how have you taken over world champions in 2022 and in 2024, you've made it this? It's quite impressive. It's actually admirable. It's hard to do. I think the average football fan would have done a better job and allocated their funding better than the people in charge of Chelsea Football Club. I don't think that's unfair to say. I know people will look at it as like, oh no, fans think they know. Honestly, and I'm not just saying Chelsea fans, I'm saying the average football fan could have allocated their funding better than they have. Chelsea wouldn't be as bad as they are now just by the average fan running it. With what they've spent. With the power they've had to do what they've done. It's just grim. It's grim. It's sick. It's just sickening to see my club like this, to be honest. It really is. Like I said, it's sad. It's sad. It feels detached. And I was even thinking about it earlier in terms of when I think of decisions like the Thomas Tuchel one. I saw United fans tweeting earlier saying like, why did Chelsea get rid of Thomas Tuchel? And my response in my head is, we didn't. They did. And I think that says everything you need to know in terms of how disconnected we are from the people that are running our club. They did it, not we. I never thought about that before. It was always us. But simple distinctions like that are so apparent to me in how I feel towards the people running our club that they're like their own entity. They're not us. They're not Chelsea. They're nothing to do with. They're owning Chelsea, and no one wants it. No one wants it. No one wanted it at the time. No one wants it now. Like, they are fucking useless. They don't have a clue what's going on. And we will wake up tomorrow in mid-table, out of every competition, not winning another cup for the second year. It's very impressive. They were happy digging out Roman Abramovich in terms of, it was run really poorly. They were happy digging that out in the first few months. Well, that's 2 years on the trot with no trophies. Roman Abramovich didn't have that. Never. There wasn't 2 successive years with no trophies. That didn't happen. So they've already topped him for that. They've already done something he never did. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. They're not very loud now. They're not talking all this about how poorly run everything was now. It's funny that. It's just sad. But like I said, yeah, we'll wake up in mid-table with no trophies, watching us get battered by rivals 5-0, watching Cole Palmer dig us out of every hole going, with no patterns of play developing, and they'll keep him. Just think how fucked that is. And what's more mind-blowing is that there'll be criticism of people thinking, oh, it's not completely his fault, he's got all these young kids. There are so many squads that are not as gifted as Chelsea's, doing far better. Regardless of our levels of injuries, I'd say there are loads of clubs with similar injuries, with less quality and less numbers in the squad available, and yet are doing much better. They are seeing much more progression and signs to believe. And we don't see any of that, and we have to sit there and pretend like, yeah, that's fine. Unai Emery took over Aston Villa as Gerrard was trying to take Villa down. And they're going for Champions League spots. Is Villa's squad drastically different, player for player, talent-wise, than Chelsea's? I mean, you can work that one out, but like I said, we're not asking. No one's asking the world. No one's expecting to be winning leagues, etc. But when you're out of Europe, and the state of the league isn't that high quality-wise, it's really not. This Spurs and Villa team, they're not teams that are going to be remembered in years to come. They're not all-time Premier League sides to be in and amongst that, let alone just not lose 5-0. Just not lose 5-0 to anyone. I don't think that's a big ask. But apparently it's too much for them. And it's grim. It's grim. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the sight of the season. I'm sick of the sight of some of these players. I'm sick of the sight of the manager. I'm sick of the sight of the owners. Just grim. It's really grim. And I thought I'd just vent, to be honest. Because after that, I can't think of many lower points as a Chelsea fan. But yeah, up the Chelsea. We'll be back one day, but it won't be under these lot. That's what's so sad about this. I just feel hopeless with it. I just think it doesn't fucking matter if you sack him because you'll get it wrong. You've proven that time and time again. And you'll continue to prove it. It won't be let's sort this out. Let's maybe bring Tuchel back. Let's get Simeone and let's just pay him the money. Instead of throwing it on fucking four favela kids and putting it all on Simeone. Instead of doing that, give us a hipster name, and it will fail all over again. And that'll be that. They don't learn. They're not learning. They're not. There's no learning. There's no progression there. So there won't be any progression with the team on the pitch. That's the reality. Anyway, up the Chelsea, guys.